I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And first order of business is the update from our student liaison, Mr. Hanna. Go on.
Thank you. Good evening. I can't believe it is already March and we are heading into term 3. Progress reports are coming out soon and students are selecting their courses for next year from the list of recommendations made by their teachers. Captain practices are happening for spring sports as the field and the gym is alive with excitement. Seniors are planning senior activities and prom, and they are also excited as college acceptance letters are rolling in. And some exciting news for the basketball team, as they are playing Burke High School in Dorchester tomorrow night in the first round of the playoffs. We wish them the best of luck. The class of 2016 is hosting the 4th annual dodgeball tournament at the Mashpee High School on March 11th. Previously, it was at the Boys and Girls Club, but because of the large number of students signed up, it will be held at the high school. The class of 2016 would love if the school committee could participate and create their own team. Mr. Ray insists on paying for the entry fee if you form a team as well. And the Wizard of Oz will be playing soon as well. The dates for the show are on March 18th and 19th at 7 p.m. and March 19th and 20th at 2 p.m. It definitely will be a great play, and we hope you can attend. There are a lot of students signed up to showcase their wonderful talents, and sorry about that. The class of 2018 is hosting the annual talent show at Mashpee High School on March 31st at 7 p.m. There are a lot of students signed up to showcase their wonderful talents to the public and the peers. The public is welcome to attend, as it will sure be a fun night. And finally, we are heading into the season that is filled with tests. MCAS is in the middle of March, and PARC is in the middle of April. With all the hard work we have put in this year, it will definitely pay off come time for the test. That is all I have for tonight. Thank you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I get the date on the dodgeball again?
March 11th.
And you volunteered us as a team.
Mr. Ray volunteered as a team, in the class 2016. So,
What time is that going to be?
7 p.m. I believe it is,
Yeah.
and it's $5 for entry. But Mr. Ray insists on paying, so you don't have to pay.
March 17th. Okay.
No, March 11th.
Oh, March 11th. I'm
March
sorry.
11th. Yeah.
March 11th.
Clearly there's some interest.
Oh yes, there is.
Getting a team
Yes,
for some
I know. I
basketball.
can tell.
I think we're going to have to cancel the rest of the meeting and go practice, guys. All right. Thank you for the offer, and we will follow back up with you on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item of business is update on the Quashnet School. Mary Kate O'Brien.
Good evening, Chairman Myers, members of the committee, Acting Superintendent DeBoer, and the Mashpee community. As principal of Quashnet School, I am honored to be here tonight to have the opportunity really to highlight all the wonderful things that we do at our school. There has been a large investment in technology in our district this year, and tonight the main focus I'd like to highlight is the use of the technology in the classroom. And tonight, I am very happy to have Teresa Arsenal, who is an outstanding third grade teacher with us, and she's going to share some of the instructional tools she uses within the classroom. She also has 2 third grade students to share some of their work. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Teresa to come on up.
Good evening. We're really excited to be here this evening. My name is Teresa Arsenal. I'm a third grade teacher at the Quashnet School. And tonight I've invited Samara Andalib and Eve Mahan, 2 fabulous third grade students, to come share their work. Before I begin, though, I would like to thank the Mashpee School Committee and the Mashpee School Department for providing the students with technology and the site license that have added a powerful addition to our learning environment. We want you to know that we appreciate all that you do. Tonight we're here to tell you about Storybird. It's one of the many sites that we use in the classroom. Storybird's a free site that's a platform for readers and writers of all ages. It's a unique language arts tool, and it uses artwork to inspire our students to write stories. I'm now going to let Eve and Samara tell you a little bit more about it. So, Eve?
Well, first, Miss Arsenault assigned the writing project. Our job was to create a story with a setting, characters, problem, and a solution. We first explored all the different artists, artwork like animals, fairies, creatures, and realistic characters too. Smart.
Once we chose the artwork, then we began writing our stories. We spent many class periods in the lab or on our Chromes working on our stories. Many of us even worked on them from home. Back to Eve.
Miss Arsenault and Miss Nelson also taught us how to keyboard, so we could type well. We still spend about 30 minutes each week typing. Smart.
Once our stories were written, we peer edited, making sure spelling and grammar were correct. Then we presented the stories on the smartboard to our class. Eve?
We had a lot of fun and learned a lot too. Would you like to see?
Yes. Absolutely.
Take the positions.
The blossom tree. Once thousands of years ago in China, there lived a blossom tree. This tree everyone called the Tree of Life was lonely because it was the only blossom tree left in all of China. Everyone took good care of the Tree of Life because all the other blossom trees died in a large famine. During the famine, there was little food or water for the trees. The famine was a hard time. Many trees died. Many people came and prayed for the Tree of Life. Some people even came from all across China just to see the blossom tree. There was one woman draped in white silk who did not respect the tree and threatened to cut it down. Nobody knew about this woman and her plan, and that was because she was a spirit, only seen by animals. The woman's spirit was walking along the dirt roads of ancient China. Of course, you cannot see her because she is only seen by animals, but as the spirit started to walk home, she noticed a forest of trees. But there was a glow coming from the trees. The spirit was curious, and so she went to see what the glow was. The spirit walked along the damp dirt of the forest floor until she reached a huge hole that almost looked like a volcano. A sudden glow came from the hole, but the woman still did not know what was making the glow. Then something happened. An elephant came and charged after the spirit with a queer look in his eye. The elephant overheard the spirit threatening the Tree of Life, since the spirit can be heard by animals, but not only the elephant heard. A bee heard, a bird heard, a dog heard, and a rabbit heard. The glow was actually just a lure to make the spirit come so the animals would attack her. The elephant attacked the spirit. She disappeared and was never to be seen again. Only the animals knew the truth of what happened to her. The Tree of Life continued to live in peace. The end.
Bullying is not okay. There's a bully in my class. Her name is Casey. This afternoon, I saw Casey tease my best friend Kate. I was not happy about it at all. Every day, Casey would tease someone that I know. By the way, my name is Kelly. One day, my friend Stacy was singing in the park with her cat. They were in the middle of a song when Casey came by on a horse. "Aww," said Casey. "You're too scared to sing on your own." This comment made Stacy feel terrible. I felt like going over and yelling stop, but I held myself back. I was not going to be bullied myself by Casey. I was not going to be a bystander. I had to do something, and I had a plan. The next day, I was at my house before school. I ran upstairs, grabbed my notebook, and shoved it into my backpack as quick as I could. I didn't want my mom to know that I was doing this. Just as I closed up my backpack, my mom called me downstairs. I was running. I ran downstairs
Wonderful job. Nicely done, ladies. I don't know if you have any questions for them?
Can I ask how long, that's the finished product?
That's
so
the finished
what did
product.
How long,
Usually from first term, I assign it right on to the program, and they can go there, like I've just assigned term twos, while we're in the middle of term twos. So they can either choose to use that story and add to it. This term, we're focusing on similar. You need to have character, setting, problem, solution, but this time I've challenged them to use quotations. So they need to have quotations throughout the story and dialogue. So, but they're doing a marvelous job. And even the most reluctant writers will write with this program. They get to explore artwork first. They choose the artwork, and they choose something that speaks to them, and they have all kinds. Everything's in there pretty much. They can just put in a word, and up will come all these artists' artwork, and then they can search and then choose one that speaks to them, and then they start to write the stories. So they pieced those pictures together. There were probably, 50 or 60 pictures that they could have chosen from, just from that artist.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent.
Very good job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Eve and Samar. They are a wonderful example of some of the outstanding students that we have here at the Quashnet School, and an example of the great work that's being done within the classrooms. And Mrs. Arsenal is just an exemplary teacher. We appreciate all she does for all of her students, so thank you very much. And she's one of many here at the Quashnet School. As demonstrated, the technology has helped us to support and enhance learning within the classrooms, but it has also allowed us to assess our students and monitor their growth in another way than we've used before. And Mrs. Avches is here. Thank you, Mrs. Avches, our wonderful assistant principal. She's going to take us through some of the STAR assessment piece. The students take the online assessments through STAR Reading and STAR Math, and it's as a whole school 3 times a year. Teachers have students take these assessments more often, though, to monitor their progress, and the frequency is really based on the needs of the student. These online assessments take about 20 minutes, but each student having their own device in front of them has allowed for such an ease of administration. And we talked way back in December and November about our PARCC scores, and I shared that our 3rd graders at that point last year, the first time they used their Chromebook was the day of the testing. Well, now we use them frequently. Every day I see go through classrooms and students have their Chromebooks out and they're using them. And you can see from Eve and Samara just the ease of the Clear Touch. Eve just went right through it, which is another new toy here at Quashnet that we're thoroughly enjoying. So Mrs. Avches, take it away.
So just to give you an example of how we can now direct instruction based on these benchmark tests that we do with STAR Reading and Math, I'll just pick reading. And there's a menu of different reports and information that we can look at, a teacher can look at as well. So this is all of the different kinds of tests and reports that we can pick out. But one that we'd like to show you and highlight today about how we can use this data now to drive what a teacher does in the classroom. And this is called a growth proficiency chart. And if you can imagine the chart itself is 4 squares, and we have down in the bottom here it says lower growth and lower achievement. And diagonally across would be, I feel like Vanna White, I'm sorry, would be high growth and higher achievement. So we want our students to be moving in this direction. Lower growth with high achievement in the upper left quadrant, and higher growth and lower achievement in the lower right. So when we do this is the district, and this is a pretend district, so we're not reaching in confidentiality or anything, but the district shows up all the schools. Each bubble here, dot, represents a different school. So from here, you can click on the school, and it will then show you all the different classes within, and the teachers within that particular school. And this is showing the progress of the students for that particular teacher in all of the teachers' classrooms. A teacher can then go and click on their particular dot, and they can get very specific about the class that they want to look at. So 4th hour English is this particular teacher's class, and now we have the dot that now represents each individual student. So a teacher can now look at this, and if you have students in this lower quadrant, which would be our most neediest students, we can then, and I'll show you how to get to that, we can then go look at different resources that are available through Renaissance Learning and STAR that we can use to help differentiate instruction in the class, to help move them towards that higher growth and higher achievement area. So a teacher can click on a particular student, see where it gets drilled down to even the different standards where the student is weak, and the teacher can then focus on particular activities that focus on that standard to help the student move forward and show progress and growth within reading or math. So that's the growth proficiency chart. And I don't know how to use this that well. And then we have our core progress reports. And when you look at the core progress, this is also, now this is again for reading, this lists the main topic areas for each of the Common Core standards within the curriculum. So you can pick on a reading informational text standard, and then all of the standards are written out here, broken down by grade. And so we can go to 3rd grade, pick on the particular standard, look for, where did it all go? Look on the standard again. View instructional resources, and here the teacher can then fine-tune whether it's a student that needs, as Mrs. O'Brien says, an extra scoop of, or someone that needs more enrichment and more challenge activities for a particular standard. So I think it's a really great tool, and it lists all these different activities that equate to that particular standard, and I think it eases the teacher with the differentiated instruction within the classroom. So this is showing how the technology can be used for not only assessment, but also to help drive instruction as well.
So the technology is used throughout the day in every single classroom by students, teachers, administrators. And we do want to thank the committee and the town of Mashpee for the support. I know it was a costly investment, but well worth it. We're able to streamline our time. We are able to get instant data. The minute a student finishes one of those assessments, we have the results. And we can use our valuable time during our professional learning communities to really analyze this and plan instruction instead of trying to cut and paste and research and look for all of this other information. So it really is an investment in our students, and we're thrilled. So I do want to say one other thing about technology, and I want to assure the committee as well as the community that we do want our students to have a balanced education as well. So even with all of the technology we do have available to us, we still want our students to read books. We do visit the library, and students come to the library regularly. We do use paper, so you do see that as a budget line item. We do use pens and pencils, and technology really is a tool for us, and it enhances what we do. It doesn't replace what we do. So again, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think you've seen some of those great uses we've put this to. And it's just a small part of something you'll see if you come and visit the Quashnet School. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks,
Good.
Mary Kay.
Please feel free to visit us
Thank you.
anytime.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is this the garage band app? All right. Next item of business is public comment. No public comment. All right. Next item is approval of meeting minutes of February 3rd, 2016. They're in your packet.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. Roll call. Scott?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, approved. Next item is report of the superintendent.
Good evening, Chairman Myers and committee members. We have the principals present this evening, as well as their reports are in the packet. We have Principal Lithwin's report from the Casey Coombs School, 443 students. Acknowledgements that she would like us to make. Thank you to Stephanie Souza, she is a teacher, and the Math Night Committee members and volunteers for a successful Math Night. Thank you to Katie Martin, the STEM teacher, for organizing Thornton Burgess visits. Thank you to the fabulous PTO for organizing the Zumbathon fundraiser. Thank you to the 39 students from Mrs. Cogswell and Mrs. Cullum's second grade classes who read 83 hours collectively for their Super Bowl readathon.
Yeah.
And many thanks to Brad Tripp and the Coombs janitorial staff for their quick response during a recent flood, which was, I believe, on President's Day?
Sunday before President's Day.
Sunday, Monday, yes. Upcoming events in March. This is a big week, Read Across America Week, in honor of Dr. Seuss's birthday. That's why I wore red. On March 10th at the Coombs School, which is the Thursday night, I believe it's a Thursday night, STEM night, 6 to 7:30. On Tuesday, March 15th is Mrs. Lithwin's school council meeting at 3. And there is a PTO meeting on March 30th. I don't know the time for that, though. Do you know?
I don't think it's been decided.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add, Mrs. Lithwin?
No, I think the other things are part of the report. Thank you.
Then we have Mrs. O'Brien's report for the Quashnet School. She has 509 students. She would like to acknowledge Mrs. Richards for organizing the fourth grade field trips to the Cotuit Center for the Arts. I know that's an excellent trip for all of our fourth graders. On February 11th, the fifth graders participated in an annual event at the Quashnet School, the Water Festival. There were 21 AmeriCorps volunteers who basically ran that program for the day. And Mrs. O'Brien would like to thank their efforts and the partnership with the Cape Cod Cooperative Extension for bringing that festival to us each year. And it was free due to a grant. Very nice, that's new. K-Kids have kicked off a fundraiser for Pennies for Patients. Thank you to Mrs. Ristalis and Mrs. Blunt for leading this initiative with students. I believe is the competition by classroom?
It is.
I saw this. Thank you to Mrs. Giugio, who is the STEM teacher at Quashnet, Ms. Abchez, and all of the staff who participated in STEM night. It was very well attended, many fun and engaging activities. Mrs. O'Brien would like to acknowledge Mr. Looney and Mrs. Howe from the high school and the MHS students for the robotic team members who participated in the STEM night. And Mrs. O'Brien is pleased to welcome Officer Sean Cahill and Officer John Gillen from the Barnstable County Sheriff's Department, who are working with fifth grade students on the GREAT program, which is a gang resistance initiative, as well as a program to address substance abuse. A very valuable program for our fifth graders. On events for March, yesterday was what I would consider a very successful primary election event for the school. Presents challenges, but well handled by Principal O'Brien. On the 7th is a string jamboree. Is it a string jamboree on the 7th?
Yes, it is.
Okay. On the 10th is a CPAC meeting at 6:30 p.m., which is actually held at Mashpee High School. On the 15th of March is a Dollars for Degree program in collaboration with Cape Cod 5, which I think I have a paper on that I wanted to talk about. Talk about that after. She also is highlighting The Wizard of Oz, which Frederick did a great job, and I'll talk about it a little bit later. There is a very interesting new event this year on the 20th of March. It is a spring skate party at the Gallo Ice Arena from 4:30 to 6. I believe it's free.
It's free and open to all Mashpee families.
All Mashpee families. And some of our students might recognize a few of the highly skilled skaters that will be leading that program, correct?
Absolutely.
Because their day job is to be a teacher of students at Quashnet. Their night job, they're skaters. And on the 7th of April is the Quashnet School Annual Talent Show. Is there anything you would like to add?
I just would like to add that the Gallo Ice Arena has donated that sheet of ice for that time, so there is no cost at all to the district in any way.
Thank you.
Very nice. We also have Principal Balistracci here with the Mashpee Middle High School report. He has 706 students. He would like to acknowledge Ms. Keller and the chorus students for a great performance at the All Cape Festival in Barnstable. Congratulations to Ms. Deschamps and Mrs. Troyanos and all the art students for their great display of work at the Cape Cod Life Magazine Art Show. Congratulations to Senior Alex Gumbert for her consignment shop project for senior seminar, which brought together the community for a very noble cause. Thank you to Mr. Looney and Mrs. Kett for their leadership at the Massachusetts Connecting Activities event. MMHS will now be serving as a model school for the state in career and technical education. Saturday, February 9th, there was a dance-a-thon, which was Kelly Bonenberger's senior project. She organized it, and thank you to Mrs. Reynolds for also supporting this effort. And Kelly was able to raise $16,000 for her cause. Thank you to Susie Brooks and Colleen Terrell for hosting their first Twitter chats. It's a sort of a new group event for staff and other community members. Thank you to Mr. Turner, Mr. Looney, and Ms. Holmes for hosting the Mashpee Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. They had a meeting at the Falcon Cafe, and the students did a great job, not only cooking the food, but serving the food. And I would just like to put out there to any organizations in the community, if you'd like to hold your monthly meeting at the Mashpee Middle School High School, we would love to accommodate you. You could have a little tour at the same time and great food, so if you'd like to do that, we'd welcome you to come in. Events from Mr. Balistracci's report, actually tonight, which too late for you to go to, but South Coast Jazz Festival, where groups from various schools all over Massachusetts in the South Coast come to perform, and they actually get scored and earn medals or recognitions. On March 5th, SAT test date. March 18th, 19th, and 20th, which is the Wizard of Oz musical. Frederick talked about, I will talk about a little further. On March 22nd through the 24th is MCAS ELA for grade 10. March 25th is the MMHS Higher Education Fair. And March 31st is the Mashpee Middle High School Talent Show. So there's two talent shows, and you should go to both of them. The first one is, they're about a week apart. March 31st is the middle high school, and Quashnet's is April 7th. So we have very talented students in this district. You should definitely go.
Excellent.
Can I say
One-
something real quick,
Yes.
if you don't mind? I wanted to thank the, I guess they were probably high school volunteers that came to the father-daughter dance on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
They do such a great job, and they take care of all the kids, and it really makes it a really good event. So I just want to put kudos out to it. I could probably mention 4 or 5 of them, but I don't want to leave anybody out. So thanks a lot to them.
Nice. I have an announcement I wanted to read. It was from an email from Linda Catalina. She would like to invite everyone to dine at the Mashpee 99 restaurant tomorrow night, March 3rd, from 5 to 8. If you present the Dining for a Cause coupon to your server, 15% of your food purchase will be donated to the Mashpee Scholarship Foundation Trust. And this trust will put the proceeds towards a scholarship to be presented to a member of the class of 2016. And I'm not quite sure. It says you can also use your coupon for a take-home order if you don't wish to eat in. And I don't know where they get the coupon. It was attached to this email. But if anyone's interested, I'm sure at the high school ahead of time, prior to tomorrow night, you could stop and get yourself one. And if you've gone to any of the offices, I love the advertisement for the Wizard of Oz with the painted yellow brick to follow the yellow brick road. It's very cute. But I definitely want to give additional shout out and emphasis that it's really a show not to be missed. It's Friday, March 18th at 7, Saturday, March 19th at 2, and again at 7, and then Sunday, March 20th at 2. It's at the high school, and I know that our students and the director, they've been working very hard, and it's a great way to show support and have a great time at the same time. We have Mrs. Brady's report as the special education director. A little quiet month with our break there, but 324 students are currently receiving special education services. Any questions on any of the reports so far? We also have Matt Treveri's report as the athletic director for the middle high school. He is included in the packet records. I'm not going to read the records, but I am going to read the notes that he had at the bottom. The Falmouth Mashpee gymnastics team reached the South Sectionals for the second year in a row. Varsity boys basketball beat Carver in their final game to win a share of the South Shore League small title. Boys basketball freshman guard Devon Ford scored a school record 41 points against Carver. Mashpee junior Gunnar Ahern was named South Shore League Winter Track Athlete of the Year. Mashpee junior Gunnar Ahern finished 31st overall out of 124 athletes in MIAA pentathlon. Former Mashpee boys basketball coach Scott Wenzel is at a different district. He's had quite a winning season there. 8 members of the indoor track team qualified for the Division IV state meet. Mashpee Monomoy freshman hockey goalie Jack Daigneault was third on Cape and Islands in save percentage leader and tied in shutouts at 2. And spring sports, with Frederick talked about, start March 21st. And just a recap of enrollments: 443 at Coombs, 509 at Quashnet, 273 at the middle school, 433 at the high school, for a total of 1,658 district-wide. And the Dollars for Degree program, which I mentioned, I think, in Principal Balistracci's report, is coming up on Tuesday, March 15th. It is held at this library. There is an introduction and reception period from 5:30 to 6, and the presentation is from 6 to 7. And Mashpee Public Schools are hosting the Cape Cod 5 for a free educational workshop for pre-K through 8th grade parents to explore valuable techniques and strategies for saving for the future for their child's higher education. Space is limited. You were asked to RSVP by yesterday, but anyone who's hearing this that feels that this is something they want to go to, please contact Maureen Goldsmith at the high school. We'll make sure it happens for you. And let's see. Okay. I did want to read an update on the MTSS. It's the policy that's up tonight for its third and final read, I believe. And we're very excited about this, and I don't want to sound too reedy, but I'm going to read it so that I don't forget anything that's in here. This is an update for the school committee and for the community. The Peter and Elizabeth Tower Foundation Schools That Work project is based on a simple theory of change. If you tailor your district's focus to meet the needs of the 20% of students with learning and attention issues, all students in the district will benefit. The Tower Foundation has made it possible for the National Center for Learning Disabilities to bring the Schools That Work project to Mashpee. MTSS, which means multi-tiered system of supports, is not a curriculum, it is not a special education program, and it is not a new professional development strategy. MTSS is a seamless system or framework for doing business in schools. Doing business in schools in a way that provides all students with the academic and behavioral support they need, when they need it, throughout their time in a school district. MTSS uses a 3-tier structure when looking at student needs, increasing with intensity. So for school year 15-16, Peter and Elizabeth Tower Foundation grant brought $140,000 worth of services to this district. And I want to give a special thank you to Michelle Brady for writing the grant on a very short turnaround. Members of the Tower Foundation Grants Committee commented on the passion that came through in her narrative. And they read a lot of grants. And for us, sort of one of the little quick mottos is year 1 is tier 1, which means everything that we do is focusing on improving instruction for all students in the classroom, which is tier 1. So we have some pretty high level, very educated, nationally known consultants working with us. We have Judy Elliott, and her work for the first year has been working with a district-based leadership team that we put together, and then she also works one-on-one with me. And the work that we're doing is working on an MTS implementation plan that we're tying to our strategy for district improvement, and we're making sure we have evidence in there, so she's helping us with that. She's helping us develop a professional learning plan for our leaders as well as our teachers. She's helping us develop an instructional framework so that everyone has a common language and a common understanding of really what good teaching and good lessons look like. And then she's helping us to develop or look at options for purchasing a data management platform. It's called a dashboard, and what it does, we have actually quite a few sources of data, and what it would do would be a single entry point for teachers or users, and it's able to pull from various sources. So it's definitely something we need to have in place because a lot of this work is very data-driven, and we do not have it consolidated. So you'll be hearing more about this upcoming possible purchase. So her work is about overall systems alignment. And then we have George Batch, and he is, if you Google any of these people, you'll find out how very important they are. But they are not only highly educated and highly skilled, but they are just very engaging and wonderful people to work with. So George Batch's work, he comes on a monthly basis, and he works with the school-based leadership teams. And the school-based leadership team is where problem solving occurs for both individuals and groups of students at a building level. And he's helping all of the teacher leaders that are part of these groups learn the 4-step problem solving process. He's helping us to set up protocols to make data-driven decision making. And they're looking at both behavioral and academic. And one of the big sort of aha moments for me, and often teachers, when we see students who are struggling, we go right to the learner. What's wrong with the learner? Something wrong with the learner. But what the shift is, and they refer to it as ISIL, but the first thing when a student is struggling, you have to look at your instruction, then you have to look at your curriculum, then you look at your environment. And if there aren't any things that you can fix there, then you go to the learner at the very last step. And that's a major shift for how a lot of schools function, but it's very exciting to sort of make that shift. Okay, very quickly. We also have Judy Maynard on board. She's part of this year's team, and she provides mentoring to our 3 principals in a group setting as well as one-to-one. And in October of 2015, the district-based leadership team was able to attend a RTI Innovations National Conference. And what's interesting about that conference is there are no vendors, so it's great. No one is hounding you to purchase a product. And it's all focused on response to intervention, meeting the needs of all students, implementing MTSS. So that was a great experience for the leadership team. Then in February of this year, we found out that the Peter and Elizabeth Tower Foundation has funded our 2nd year to continue this work. And we wanted to thank Judy Elliott and George Batch because they were the group that wrote and submitted our 2nd year proposal. The 2nd year has a value of $214,200. Of which, just like the first year, Mashpee had to provide $4,500 in-kind contributions for the 3 principal mentoring. DESE funded $10,000 in each of the years, and the other comes from the foundation, $199,700, to bring these people to us. And what's great about the 2nd year now is we keep our same team, but we're adding 2 additional people, which, again, you could Google them. But George Sugai is the founder of the Positive Behavior Intervention and Support Program, PBIS. And he will be coming here on 5 different days providing us with whatever is targeted for us. We just had a conference call with him today. The other person who's coming is Anita Archer, who we were able to see when we went to the national conference. She is, worldwide known for her expertise with explicit instruction. And we're very honored that she's going to come and work with our staff. So it's very exciting. And upcoming honor, sort of related to that, is that the district-based leadership team has been invited to present at the Innovations Conference this year in October. So we're very excited. That's a great honor for us, and we're going to talk about our secondary approach. So that's just a little update on the MTSS, of which the policy is in there, but it's very exciting, and it's really the work that we do every day. It's not an add-on, and we are doing the best to make other things fit within this. This is the way. This is the answer, in my opinion. So that's a little update on MTSS.
Thank you.
Okay. And I already talked about Dollar's degree out of order, so. Okay.
All right. On for new business then,
Yeah.
school choice.
So you have in your packet a letter that lists, or a memo, I guess, the principals we got together, and then each principal assessed their current enrollments and projections for next year. And in front of you on that memo, you have the recommended choice seats going into school year 16-17. Kindergarten, there is no 0 choice seats. Grade 1, 0 choice seats. Grade 2, 0 choice seats. So apparently there are no choice seats at the Coombs School, which I agree, the class sizes are, creeping up. In grade 3 at the Quashnet School, there will be 4 choice seats if you approve this. Grade 4, 0 choice seats. Grade 5, 6 choice seats. Grade 6, 3 choice seats. And then moving on to the middle high school, grade 7, 4 choice seats, 0 seats in grade 8, 4 seats in grade 9, 4 seats in grade 10, 4 seats in grade 11, and no seats in grade 10. 12, sorry, yes, 12.
So just to clarify, these are new seats with the presumption that if someone starts in the 3rd grade, that they would potentially continue their entire academic career at Mashpee. Is
Right.
that correct?
So as of January, we have 64 school choice students, and although they remain on the choice list, we view them as already in the mix.
Right.
So these are
These are
additional
new.
seats.
These are brand new.
Right,
So we have 64 currently.
64, yes, in January. And I believe at a previous meeting, when we looked at the same, or the letter that went into DESI last year, with the seats available, they weren't all taken. So it's reassessed each year.
Right.
Just for more clarification, just the gist of it is fine, I don't need to get into detail, mostly for the people that might be paying attention at home or whatever. How are these, when this recommendation comes out, how are these seat numbers determined for each grade level? I know it has something to do with class sizes, and what are you really looking at that way? You know, people understand, not just throwing a dot at a dartboard and saying, okay, 6 seats in this grade and none in this one.
Would any of the principals like to talk about how you arrived at your numbers?
I looked at our current enrollment, and I wanted to keep our class size approximately 20 students, and I wanted to leave some space for incoming students, so, who, new residents to the town. So based on those numbers, that's how I came up with my available seats.
Okay, great, thank you.
And if you look at the beginning of this memo, it states that we also recommend opening enrollment for school choice beginning June 1st of this year and closing the first collection period on June 30th, so that's a month, and that a second enrollment period would open on July 1st and close on August 1st. These were dates that the administrative team came up with. They can be changed if it's your choice. And every current Mashpee student will be receiving notification of these choice windows.
How else do we advertise, or do we? There was a very nice sandwich school choice.
I've seen a
in the
few
school,
actually
yeah.
from, I think it was Nauset as well. We can, and in the past years, we have put something in the paper.
And I'm not saying it's necessary, I was just curious what we do, you know?
And I guess the difference between the first selection period and the second selection period, is the second selection period, if it's oversubscribed, it's done on a lottery basis? How is it different?
Well, in any case, it's done on a lottery. If in the first window, all of Mrs. O'Brien's 4 seats in grade 3 are taken, then there would not be a second window for that grade level.
Okay.
I think we would look and assess. And prior to, probably pretty soon, we should put something in the paper just so that people know what's available or what we have to offer.
All right. And then I guess, just for clarification, in regard to the costs that the district incurs for creating these seats.
What's your question?
So-
cost that the district concurs.
So is there money coming in with individuals that are attending these? This is assuming that no additional resources are required by the town, correct?
Correct. So, I don't know what the total, let's see.
29.
29.
So if the 29 seats all were filled with choice students, as it is right now, it would be 5,000 per student that comes in, or slightly higher if the student has other specialized services.
Okay.
But the reason we have the principals really look closely at this is so that there would not be a financial burden placed on what we've currently planned for.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I've got a question to the chair. It seems that there are, most of the options for choice within the grade levels are because we have higher enrollments in those grade levels. However, it seems like in grade 8, there's, in an average, I'd say in grade 7 there's an average of about 150 students, and then on grade 8 there's an average of about, I guess, 127, 128. Is there a reasoning why grade 8 was left with 0 seats?
Well, remember, it's projecting into next year, so if the current 7th grade, which is one of our biggest groups, has, 147 students in it, they're gonna be 8th graders next year. That's probably why that would be a 0.
And then, isn't it part of the law also that any student that is accepted as school choice, their siblings can also be available, accepted as well?
I believe so.
They can or they have to be?
They can be, they
I think they're
should be,
eligible.
if the parent requests that. Sometimes you have a family who wants to choice one student, but the other student wants to stay where they are. But if they wanted to choice siblings, they would choice siblings.
And we've also in the past have, if any staff members are living out of town and then they decide to come work in Mashpee, we've usually had them come before the committee and then usually
Choice.
granted a tuition waiver on that. And so I haven't really remembered that happening in the last year or two, but I do remember happening in the past. I just want to talk about some, extra add-ons that might happen, that's all.
Well, I think if a new employee or a current employee wants to bring their children here, they should be applying during the choice window, so 5,000 comes from the town they live in. If extraordinary circumstances came up after the fact or something, I'm sure they could come before the school committee, or if a teacher were hired in the summer and the windows were closed and it was a real burden for them, to leave their child in the town they live in, they would come before you. But for the most case, we would want them to do it during the choice window.
I was curious why we can't, what would be the, I guess, issue administratively of why we wouldn't move the second choice window like farther to the right?
Farther down
Maybe-
into the summer?
No, like maybe like the first month of September or something like that.
Oh, closer to.
I don't believe, and again, it's all coming from a very fuzzy memory of my own, that like the report has to be in Desi in November, right? So I mean, you have time to.
Well, it's based on your October 1st. I'm new to this particular aspect. I believe from conversations being part of an admin team, there was a concern sometimes with students in the September timeframe wanting to choose a different district for what might be viewed as negative reasons. They're leaving behind something negative. I think that was, I don't know, and I'm not even sure that that's a valid statement to make, but I've heard that in the past.
We also have to consider, for example, I believe it was January 20th, the committee, I believe it was 4 students, we granted tuition for those 4 students, and so there could be students for next fiscal school year that are enrolled September 1st, but say they move out of town on October, November, and then they may come and ask for a tuition waiver. So those are additional students that maybe, I can't say they're all going to be in the same grade, but that I just want to talk about the factors that could add on to these 29 numbers.
So the 4 that you are currently in our district on a tuition waiver will be applying for school choice. And the principals took into account that potential with those students that are already here. So yes, you could have students next year who come before you to ask for a tuition waiver. But part of the problem with some of the glitches this year was that the current in-house students' families were not told when the choice windows were open. So if you knew you were selling your house, but you wanted your child to stay here, you want to be proactive and try to get a choice seat. But the current students that are on a tuition waiver are supposed to shift over to being choice if they do everything right. We'll be guiding them to put in their, and hopefully there won't be a problem with that in terms of there having to be a lottery in a certain grade level. They should.
So these current numbers, we're assuming that those 4 students that were granted a tuition waiver
Yes.
were going to
Apply for school
apply for
choice.
seats? Okay.
Actually, I have one student at my school that is currently on a tuition waiver, and I spoke with the family even at the time that they put in for the tuition waiver, and they had just wanted it to continue for the remainder of this year. So thus, I have
Okay.
0, even though I have a tuition waiver, and I've since followed up with that family to make absolutely certain that was their intention.
Okay.
I guess when I look at the enrollment at the Coombs, pardon me, at the Coombs School, we have our roller coaster, which currently is in the dip is in the first grade, right, which will move into the second grade. Is the reason why you're not doing that is because you're at a natural cutoff between a full class and adding another teacher? Is that it?
And in fact, because of the current numbers that are in our kindergarten, we may need to go up to an additional class in first grade next year. And we have limited space in the building itself. So if I have to go to, with numbers in kindergarten currently are 124.
Right.
If that goes up any more, then we're going to have very large class sizes in first grade next year when you have less support. So I may in fact go to 7 first grades next year,
So she can move
and
the
thus
teacher.
there would be
Okay.
5 second
Yeah,
grades, and that would make the second grade 20s would make it so that those class sizes would be that 20, which is the cutoff that we like to keep to.
Okay,
So,
thank you for the explanation.
To Jeff's point, administratively, how difficult or how much work would it create, if any, if much at all, if there were, say, 2, 3, 5 students in the 3rd week in August apply and get school choice? I know you do a lot of planning ahead of time, trying to get the class sizes ready, trying to get everything ready, but a lot of uncertainty happens over the summer, and a lot of things last minute, a lot of, and I'd hate to cut somebody off on August 1st and close that window on them. When August 1st to me seems a little early, but again, I don't sit in your seat every day, I don't do your job. How much work, if we were to say, okay, let's push it a little further down, would that potentially throw up in the air for you from an administrative standpoint, adding students like that last minute?
Well, the only thing that may come up is obviously scheduling concerns. You've got over 168 different courses being run
Mhm.
simultaneously at the middle high school level. If 3 to 5 kids come in the week before school starts, often that will cause some major switches and potentially teacher assignments.
Okay.
We've really pushed this year to get the scheduling piece done as early as possible so that when students leave this year in June, and teachers leave in June, they have a good idea of what they're coming into next year. So we avoid the stresses in the last minute of scheduling in August. However, that August 1st date is definitely something that can be discussed to be extended. I'd like to selfishly, I guess, say that maybe 2 weeks prior to the beginning of school would be a reasonable cutoff if you want to extend it further. But just so that we have all of our scheduling done, that we're not scrambling at the end. And that also takes into account that a lot of times in August, late August, you have kids and families moving into town. So that piece is already there. So to add to that is a little bit.
It's a good point, thank you. I appreciate that.
I don't know why the month November sticks in my head for the MGLs.
State law.
Yeah, I don't, and I guess I need to look at that. The month of November, there's something special's gotta happen for school choice, I need to look that up.
State law, see, we can make a policy to tighten up state law, but we can't obviously, just like most laws, you can't loosen.
Oh, yeah, I understand that.
So
Yeah.
state law states that there's 2 windows where it happens. One is in the summer, one is in November. That's why it sticks in your head.
Got it.
All right.
All right.
Any further discussion? You guys had talked about potentially inquiring about the date for August.
I was just curious about the admin. I mean, I agree with, everything that Principal Balistracci and Acting Superintendent DeBoer said. I mean, it really is up to them about the proper, I mean, this is supposed to benefit the school choice, and then, ultimately benefit the child. So if it's causing undue administration for the schools, and I'm willing to defer to the people who know the best, to be honest with you.
I feel the same.
All right. If there's no further discussion, do we have a motion to approve the recommendation?
I move to approve the school choice fiscal year 17 recommendation from Assistant Superintendent Mr. Bohr.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none?
I wanted to have just a little discussion on it.
Okay.
I think 2010 was the first year we started school choice, and I thought it was a good idea. And the basis for it is for people thought it was we were losing enrollment, and we thought a lot of people talk about a competition about gaining enrollment, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to get involved in competing with other schools. I want to make sure that Mashpee is the best school possible, and then people have to move into Mashpee. These are 29 seats. That's 29 homes or 29 rentals, or leases or purchases. Those are 29 people that could move into this town and help the town become a little stronger with its, with its ability to sell its real estate stock, and to, I think, build a tighter community. I'm not sure, I mean, I haven't talked to the principals exactly about the activity level of the students. Are they involved in extracurricular activities? Are they involved in sports? They probably are, but are they involved in, do they go to our library? Do they go to our parks? Do they go to our parades? Do they do that type of thing? I'm not so sure about that. Maybe they do, maybe they're not, but I would like to keep Mashpee as exclusive as possible. And this is 29 students, and that's, I believe, $145,000 if we talk about just $5,000 per kid. And I am in my personal life in a business setting, and I'd like to make money just like everyone else does. But I would like to keep this district reserved for the students in Mashpee, and those we've talked about in the past about school class sizes. Now, obviously, we're not going to take anyone in preschool, kindergarten, first and second, but some of these class sizes, if we naturally roll down our enrollment size and our enrollment throughout the district, then I don't think that necessarily hurts anybody. I don't think we're going to, if we didn't take in 29 students, or say it was 20 that accepted next year, we're not going to have to lose staff. We're not going to have to, cut services or anything like that. But we're making it more exclusive to our children in Mashpee. For example, look at the high school, 115 in the 9th grade, 109 in the 10th grade, 111 in the 7th and 11th grade, 107 in the 11th grade, and 102 in the 12th grade. Well, those 4 seats in the 9th, 10th, and 11th, that's a little more attention for those kids in the 9th, 10th, and 11th. If those kids are not in the, maybe it's 1 kid per class, but, I just want to keep it exclusive to Mashpee. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I want to say one more thing. I've been hearing a lot, especially since this home visit thing. Open enrollment. I've been hearing open enrollment, open enrollment. There's no one that has open enrollment in the entire Commonwealth. So people get confused and they think they can go to any school they want. Well, if we eliminate the possibility of that, then we no, we're not school choice, and we're not open enrollment, because I was talking to a lot of people in the last several months about, can we change the name of it? Because school choice doesn't really fit the program. It's school apply, and it's school apply. That's what it really is. And it causes an extra confusion that I'm not happy with. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Well, I would have to ask Patty then. I mean, again, this is supposed to be a 100% like non-mandatory program that's chosen by the administration. And so I want to make sure that, I know I don't sway anybody in the administration with my comments, but I mean, I want to make it understand that I'm perfectly acceptable to move kind of with the whims of the administration for this, because it really it should be for the good of the districts and the schools. And I mean, were these numbers brought up because, hey, we need to figure out what our school choice numbers are this year, or because we want to have school choice and these are the numbers we can absorb?
I think if you always operate from a student-centered perspective, the list of students, when I look at the 64 that are currently school choice, often were students who originally lived in Mashpee at one point or another and their family moved, but the attachment. I do see that these students are very involved in activities. They view this as their town, but the landscape of public schools has shifted from when I went to school, where everybody only went to the school you lived in. And I think it's just part of a changing world culture to be able to accept students who may live in another town who want what Mashpee has to offer because something's lacking where they are. And I see it as enriching to the district, and we wouldn't do it if it in any way hindered something that a Mashpee resident student was entitled to.
I do want to point out too, I know, we talk about numbers and, enrollment, and I can't agree more. Like, obviously, we need to look out for Mashpee, number one, but when you look at the numbers year over year, even with school choice, and I know we've had school choice at least the last couple of years I've been on the committee, the numbers are still declining, even with school choice. I mean, we're at 1698 last year, and the year before, 17 above, and right now we're at 1658. So even with school choice, the numbers are still declining. So if, again, just like Jeff had said, if the administration feels like they want to do this, even though it is a school committee run policy and program, if the administration feels that, we want to take care of kids that might be missing out on something else, and, at the same time, our kids in our own community are not missing out, I'm going to have to go with that in my decision as well.
How many kids do we have from Mashpee that are in school choice attending other schools? Do you have that number offhand?
I had it. I don't think I have it in this collection. I can get that, though. We do know how many kids choice out.
Wasn't it like 34 or something like that?
I thought it had
I don't want to say something wrong.
decreased.
Me too. Don't quote me.
Over the last couple of years, but I don't know the exact number. So this is, kind of quid pro. We've got kids both coming and going.
We've been hovering around at break even, I think, this past year, if I'm correct.
So that would indicate roughly 60 on the outside too.
Yeah, I told you not to quote me.
Okay.
I can get that number, though.
Do we know about the surround, do you know if Bourne, Sandwich, I think Barnesville has a limited school choice, but I don't think Falmouth has school choice. I'm trying to think about, I know Nauset does not.
I'm
Well,
not sure
no.
of the other towns. I know Bourne does have school choice.
I know Sandwich does. They got a spectacular advertisement in the Cape Cod Times.
Well, those two schools have been losing them hand over fist, and
Falmouth does have school choice.
are they, I'm not so concerned about losing enrollment. I'm just concerned about educating the kids that live here and the families that want to invest in here and want to live here and make an effort to be here.
All right. Hearing no other discussion, do I have we have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. How do you vote? Scott?
No.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 4-1. Approved. Okay. Next item of business, there's a field trip to Washington DC in June of next year. That we're being asked to approve on, it's in your packet on page 15. This is the annual trip that they take, correct?
Correct, 8th grade trip.
I move to accept the Washington DC trip, June 4th through June 7th.
Second,
Any discussion?
question for you. Do you know if they're gonna be doing pretty much the same thing as they have in the past few years with the security company and
I
all
think
of
so.
that? Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
There's always gonna be security for our students, regardless of which company we use for the trip, but it'll always remain the same.
Okay,
High-level security is essential for us and paramount for us.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? All right. How do you vote, Scott?
Aye.
Yes?
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 Yes. It's unanimous, it's approved. All right, specific and unfinished business. We have the DataQuest invoice that the committee had wanted to review and approve. Here's another copy. Is that? You got it, okay.
Did you see the additional one on the front? There's another.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
And
that's
there's
the
a
total.
Okay. So what I have given you is the original invoices. There's also a subsequent invoice for time that the investigators spent in attending the trial at Falmouth District Court. The original invoice that you have in front of you is for $3,317.20. And attached to that is a copy of the various activities that took place associated with that.
I move to accept the DataQuest invoice dated 1/1/2016 of $3,317.20 and any additional late fees that may be incurred.